Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Cabinet meeting at Broadland District Council, 13th of January 2026. Please, can you all be aware that this is a public meeting and is being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel? I believe we're switched on. Is that right, James? Yes. Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. So if I take you to item 1, which is declarations of interest, does anybody have any declarations to declare? In that case, item 2, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Booth and Councillor Riley.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item 3, which is the minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of November 2025. Does anybody have any comments to make or anything that they would wish to raise under matters of accuracy? And no matters arising. Okay, thank you very much. Public speaking. Do we have any public speaking, James?
There's no public speaking.
Thank you. In that case, Nick, it comes to you, the overview and scrutiny. Do we have any comments from overview and scrutiny?
Thank you. Everybody was very supportive of the policies as was brought to us. Felt that they were worthwhile and useful, and we had a very good explanation given to us of how everything worked. The only concern, well, it's not even concern. It sounds like we've been the most pedantic people in the world, but we weren't, because we just like the wording on the waste services policy, and Martin's here who picked this out, that there was a difference in the wording from how we sort of standardly word, the standard way of wording things. So you'll see the recommendation that we've made just to change that. Actually, it aligns with then the next policy, which had that wording, which we think will just clarify it. The only other element, I mean, we really liked it. I mean, it sounds very exciting, doesn't it? The RIPA policy, the regulation of investigatory powers, the annual report on that, and we're pleased to see that there are elements that are hopefully within that being dealing with certain aspects and grot spots, as it were, the things that we could really deal with. And I heard 2 references to villages that I represent, so that may pique my interest. And everyone was very supportive, but we couldn't support recommendation 2. We had to split the vote. It's one of those classic examples of we were very good at scrutinising what was there, and then you don't realise what's not there until someone says, how did we scrutinise that bit? And we did not have the access to the second part of it, which was it says members did not support recommendation 2 and voted against the adoption of the revised joint RIPA policy, as they had not sufficient opportunity to review the revised document, the whole document that we were revising. So that it wasn't that we didn't agree with it. We liked its intention, we liked everything about it, but it was just about the way that the pacts came to us, and in all honesty, we couldn't support it in that sense. And both those votes that we had were unanimous of all members. Thank you.
Okay, lovely, thank you. I can just say actually that we have recognised that the recommendation was basically an oversight, so I completely accept that. And apologies about the paper, but I think you have received those now over in scrutiny. So again, I think that was just an oversight, but I completely support why you said what you said. Anybody else have any comments from other non-cabinet members on item 6 then?
Thank you. Just only really to reiterate what Councillor Starling was saying, and just to note that obviously the inclusion of the supplementary paper after the overview and scrutiny meeting means that that policy document hasn't been reviewed by the overview and scrutiny committee. Therefore, I would say that it really shouldn't come, the policy review and the update shouldn't come before Cabinet at this stage and should be referred to come back at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Tim. I wasn't at the meeting, so apologies for that, but I just wanted to say, I went through the RIPA as such today, and I just wondered, it seems like it could potentially be out of date already, because I know previously in there it said about the Assistant Director of Regulatory, and it's been replaced obviously with Phil Courtier, who is obviously the Director. I didn't know, as you now have an Assistant Director of Regulatory, whether that would be the appropriate person to put into the policy. So that was a question I was going to ask, or something for you to consider, because I thought that may be the situation. And also as well with item 7, the safeguarding policy, I just wondered if, I know potentially you could look at many pieces of legislation to include, but I just wondered if we should include the Domestic Abuse Act 2021 for reference there, and the Safeguarding Vulnerable Groups Act as well, 2006, and also the Working Together, which is a regular document which is used within children's for multi-agency working. I'm sure Nick would be very aware of that too. So I wondered if that should be a document that we should be aware of, as it's constantly being updated. I think the last one was it last year, Nick, or the year before? 2024, 25.
Lose track of the years.
But anyway, I just wondered if they were things that we should consider within the document. Thank you.
So I think we will cover that when we get to that item. I would just bear with me, because I will just check whether we really ought to review this or not. Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you for the comments, and we'll deal perhaps with those as we go along. Let's go to the first paper then, which we're looking at, which is the safeguarding policy, and that's not Kerry, that's Nicola.
Good evening. So the policy in front of you is the first time that the council actually has a safeguarding policy. That does not mean that we haven't been covered by appropriate documentation and procedures in relation to safeguarding, but we currently have a safeguarding protocol. So the report today asks you to adopt the new safeguarding policy to replace that protocol, which was first adopted back in 2019. What we've done is we had a safeguarding audit back in March 2025, and as part of that we reviewed all our approaches to safeguarding, and also looked at refreshing the existing protocol, and as part of that we decided to update it to a policy. What we've done is basically updated the document, simplified it, made sure that it's a clear document which is robust and sets out current legislation, best practice and the council's evolving responsibility. It also provides details of the refreshed governance arrangements that we put in place as a result of that audit last year, to ensure that we have internal strong processes. And as part of that audit we also have a new designated officer, Tabitha Bream, who is our operational safeguarding advisor, and Tabitha provides us with an overview across the council of what's happening in relation to safeguarding. Following adoption of the council, we will be putting a comms plan in place to make sure that all staff and members are aware of this new policy. One of the key messages that we're actually sharing as we go through this adoption process is that safeguarding is everyone's responsibility. So whilst we have an amazing resource in Tabitha, it's not her job to be responsible for all safeguarding. It sits across all services, and as I said, it affects both members and officers, but also when we have contracts, those safeguarding responsibilities sit across into those contracts where there is interaction with vulnerable people or with children. So what I just wanted to update to also just say is that we will be arranging specific member training on the new policy and the procedures that we put in place as a result of the refresh that we've done of our safeguarding arrangements.
Thank you. Natasha, would you like to add anything, and also if there's any comment you want to make about the other acts that may or may not be added?
Thank you. I think you've covered much of what I was going to say anyway, but one thing that came up in our discussions is where will all of this be made visible in terms of public knowledge? Will it be placed on our website so they know what they can expect from us, and also to answer Councillor Wymark's questions about the inclusion of various different acts, which ones were and were not in the whys? Thank you.
So absolutely, once the policy is adopted, then the policy will be a published policy on our website, and will be incredibly visible. We, as part of the work that Tabitha is doing, we're actually making sure that we have better information on safeguarding in terms of the formal referrals that we make to third parties, so like adult social services, children's services, because at the moment individual services might make a referral, but we haven't got oversight of how many referrals are happening across the council, but also what are the outcomes of those referrals. So if we're making a safeguarding referral, is that referral accepted? And if not, what is the reason for that? And what, so we can understand why safeguarding referrals are not accepted just as much as why safeguarding referrals are accepted. And that supports our development and ensuring that we're able to support people appropriately. In relation to the reference to the legislation, we've listed in the safeguarding policies some of the key bits of legislation related to safeguarding, but it's not an exclusive list, and we recognise that the Domestic Abuse Act is not in that list. We have got a standalone domestic abuse policy. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the other piece of legislation you were asking me about.
Thus, after this, we can have a look at what those might be, because I think if it's not an exhaustive list, we can add them, can't we, if we feel that that's the point. So I think that would answer that question, and I think we can look into that. I think the basic policy, we're just looking at the appendices, they can be amended, can't they? I think so if we're all happy with that, I don't know if anybody's got any other points they want to make about it.
Thank you. I mean, I've come across many safeguarding policies in many places before, and it's a very broad subject, so I'd certainly commend the way in which you've been succinct in this policy and being able to focus it. I've certainly seen a lot which are a lot longer. Just you mentioned before about the audit that was done earlier. You didn't actually say who that was by. Was that an internal activity, or did somebody external look at our protocol?
I'm hesitating because it was before I started in post, so I'd have to follow up with that information. So whether it's done by our internal audit team don't do
external.
Yeah, I'm going to say our internal audit team don't generally do audits, but we use external companies. But I can confirm exactly who did it.
Thank you. It doesn't make any difference at all about whether or not I support the policy or not. Absolutely, but it'd be useful to have that information. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh dear, it is one of those. There we go. No, I just wanted to make the point, following what Dan was saying about being succinct. It's also quite practical as well. So the table that's in the policy on page 8 of the policy, page 25 of the Cabinet Papers, in terms of the 7 golden rules of information sharing in safeguarding, and it was a handy thing to have, certainly for members as well, to be able to check this if you're not sure about certain things. So open and honest, seek advice if in doubt, always a good one. Share with consent where appropriate. Absolutely consider safety and well-being. So it's very practical as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd have to echo the idea that it is quite short, which makes it much easier to read actually and remember, doesn't it? So, but well done. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. So are we all agreed then that we're quite happy to go with the recommendation, which is to recommend that Council adopts the attached safeguarding policy and the delegation of the authority to the Assistant Director, individuals and families in consultation with the portfolio holder to make minor operational amendments as required on an ongoing basis, and in that I would include those things like the additional acts, etc.
Individual and families on a recommendation rather than individuals and families. So, little typo to fix. Happy New Year, everyone.
I think I did say individuals, yes. Though, but yes, okay, fair enough. Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to everyone. Thank you very much. Item 8. I think it's your jazzy new jacket that's making your machine go funny. Right, okay, so Scott, welcome. I will just ask Jan if he would like to introduce this, and then I'm sure he'll hand over to you.
Yeah, very brief introduction. that it's a waste services policy which doesn't introduce anything new. It establishes current practice. We didn't have a policy before, and so it's good to be able to establish exactly what the policy is. I think also in terms of the forthcoming government's waste and recycling reforms, it's good that we have established and clarified just exactly what it is we're providing as a service, and following that, being able to use that policy to perhaps give clearer guidance publicly on what our waste and recycling service is. So over to Scott for the detail.
Thank you. As Jan alluded to, this is nothing new. There's no record of a previous policy around waste services, so this report proposes a new policy that just really brings together the existing service standards and long established operational practices into a single formal policy document. Having that single reference document will improve consistency and transparency, and will put the council on a stronger footing as we move forward with the national waste reforms. In particular, it will support the preparation for the simpler recycling and packaging extended producer responsibility by helping demonstrate that the services are not only compliant with the requirements, but also being run in an efficient and effective way, which will be increasingly important under future performance and funding arrangements.
Lovely, thank you very much. I must say, it is, the bit I like is page 41, where it's just got a lovely long list of all the things. It's quite interesting to see them all in one place, isn't it? Because usually when you're trying to hunt for something, you're busy looking in lots of different places. Anyway, that was, I just thought, oh, actually, that's really helpful. Does anybody want to make any comment?
Well, only a very minor comment in that you are absolutely right, it is helpful because it's reminded me I need to arrange a bulky waste collection, so it's really helpful. Yes, fully endorse it, thank you.
Okay, Jan, yes?
So I believe there was a comment. Okay, yes, so long as we don't lose that. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. We had made a note of that. I think you mentioned it earlier, didn't you, today? Basically, the recommendation does have a piece missing, so we've added that in. So if we're all happy with the policy, shall I just take us then to the recommendation? Okay, so the recommendation is Cabinet recommends to full council the approval and adoption of the waste services policy and delegation of authority to the Assistant Director Community Services in consultation with the portfolio holder to make minor operational amendments as required on an ongoing basis. Are we all happy with that? Thank you. Lovely. Thank you, Scott. Okay, so this brings us to item 9, which is the regulation of investigatory powers annual report and policy review.
Thank you, Chair.
Bearing in mind we've just had the comment that Overview and Scrutiny didn't have the report, would there be any issue with us delaying this in order for them to be able to review it? Because I'd be concerned that they are quite right in saying that they have not had the opportunity to scrutinise it. So would it be possible for it to go back to Overview and Scrutiny, then come back to Cabinet?
That would be fine. Yeah, there wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't cause a problem. I mean, the policy is an update on an existing policy, which remains in place. So there is a policy there. This is just an update, and I apologise for the policy not being attached as an appendix to the original report.
So I think if the rest of Cabinet are agreed, are we all happy? I think that would be the sensible approach, wouldn't it? So, I mean, it's very uncommon. I don't think I've ever known this to happen before, so it's not a common occurrence. But I do think it is right that Overview and Scrutiny have that opportunity to look at it. for all our benefits. So thank you very much for agreeing to that. And as you say, we already have a policy in place, so it's not like we're going to be policyless, are we? So that's really helpful. So thank you very much for that, Louise. And we'll see you and Terry next time when it comes around again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So that therefore takes us to the forward plan. I think there are very few changes on there. Does anybody have any comments they wish to make on the forward plan? Are we all happy with the elements that are scheduled to come forward for us for the next few months? Perfect. Okay. No comments to make. In that case, I think this is going to be a world record, to be honest with you. So thank you very much for your attendance, but I will declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.